Hello, vinyl community. It's Brian here, and I realize it's time for me to do another recent finds update. And I think this is number 11. I could be right about that. I could be wrong. I'll find out later. And I'm just going to show you 6 things that I have found recently that I'm going to say a few words about, starting with the 21st record from, Bruce Springsteen. Only the Strong Survive. Covers Volume 1, which strongly suggests there will be a Covers Volume 2, and that is in fact what I have read and heard. I saw an interview with him. He also said that he had recorded an album previous to this in the same kind of vein, but threw it away, as Springsteen sometimes does. So this is 21st record from 2022 on 2 pieces of vinyl. It's really a second covers record because he did the Seeger sessions. I forget the year on that, which I quite like. Not everyone likes this record, though. I looked at some reviews, and some people likened it to karaoke, which I think is probably a little uncharitable. For a man in the 70s, I'd say he still has a pretty good voice. So he sounds good. I guess you'd call this perhaps the Great American Songbook, but perhaps the soul version of the Great American Songbook. It's on 2 records. This is the insert. There are 2 tracks on here that feature Sam Moore, which is kind of interesting. And the second record has an etching on side 4. Let's see if I can actually... I guess it's a tachometer, perhaps, fitting with the car theme of the album design. I saw a video from Rich Strickler recently. He was showing some recent acquisitions, and he noted that he didn't like this record. I've been through it a couple of times, and I'd say I do enjoy it. The question is, would I have preferred a new Springsteen record of original material or this? I probably would have said a new Springsteen record of original material, but I can't really fault this. I think it's actually well done, and it sounds good. So, on to more songs from the Great American Songbook. This is something that's been up for a while, and I wasn't going to buy it, but then I found a deal, and I couldn't really turn it down. This is Bob Dylan's 38th record called Triplicate. And as you would expect for the title, there are 3 records in here, and they're songs from the Great American Songbook, recorded live with his touring band. Now, the Springsteen record, I have to be honest, I didn't know many of those songs. I had heard a couple before. I'm not sure how many. I'd heard some before. And on here, I'd heard a few. But certainly, a lot of these songs are new to me. So, there are 30 tracks on here, spread over 3 discs with a nice Columbia vintage-looking design. Insert front and back, and then there's an essay about the record here from some guy named Tom Piazza. And each record has a discrete title. So first one is Till the Sun Goes Down. LP2 is Devil Dolls, and the third is Coming Home Late. So again, I've heard this a couple of times, and if you know the previous 2, what are the Fallen Angels, and it's over there. The other one, I can't remember the name of it. It's similar. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. Now, this record, when the last time I checked on Amazon, was around $75 Canadian. I do know that there's a store in Toronto that apparently has a copy for $45. But I walked into a store that I sometimes go to, and it was $25 sealed because it has a bit of shelfware. You can see there's a couple of dings. So it's not... It was sealed, but the jacket has a few things on it. So I think that's why it was $25. And so I decided, let me pick that up. So I did, and it's actually pretty good. Next one fills a hole in my collection. It's Beach House, Thank Your Lucky Stars, the band's 6th record from 2015. I've showed some records from this band before. They're 2015. Did I say 2016? 2015. This is, I said before, it sounded to me a little bit like the Cocteau Twins, kind of ethereal, moody, quiet music, but quite enjoyable. So this came out 2 months after the previous record, which was Depression Cherry. Apparently they were recorded at the same time, and they just put this one a little bit later. So that's enjoyable. Perhaps the weirdest sounding record, I got the most avant-garde record I got recently was a reissue of a record that came out originally in 2003, and then there was a vinyl copy in 2004. And if you wanted to track down that vinyl copy, you were in a bit of trouble because it was very expensive. And this is the record called Blemish by David Sylvian, which was released after his legal battle with his record label, which was Virgin Records, and after his marriage ended with Ingrid Chavez? I'm going to get her name wrong. So those two things, I guess, maybe informed the mood of this record, or at least the lyrical content. It's the back cover. It's the inside. I don't know if those are footprints or whatever there. So it's very minimal design, which really in many ways matches the minimal style of the music. It's ambient, electronic, avant-garde. It's quiet in places, electronic for sure. It features a guy called Fenez. I have one of his records over here somewhere, who's an ambient musician. So this is a little unsettling the first time you hear it because it's quite different from what went before. And what went before was, of course, records from his solo career and also his work with Japan. So it's quite a departure. And I don't know. It seems to be well received, but some people didn't like it. The first track is 13 and a half minutes. You're in for something on that one, the Blemish title track. I really like it. But I can see how someone would take a while to warm up to it because it's kind of cold in some ways. So yeah, maybe sounds better after repeated listenings. First time on 180 gram vinyl. So I'm a Sylvian fan, so that was kind of a must when I saw it, but it wasn't the cheapest thing I've ever seen in the record bins. Next thing I got is Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah, and songs from his albums. This came out in 2022. It's a collection of songs. So Hallelujah is separated out for some reason. And maybe that's because it's was a track that was recorded live at Glastonbury, the first track. And the rest are collections of, the rest is a collection of songs from over the years, like starting with Suzanne and Bird on the Wire, Famous Blue Raincoat, Who by Fire, things like that, through the middle years, and then ending with, You Want It Darker, Thanks for the Dance. I probably would have made different choices if I was compiling Leonard Cohen songs onto 2 albums, or 2 records, but I can respect the choices they made. One thing I think is missing is, to me, is one of his greatest songs, Democracy from the Future, which is not here. I know it's quite a long song, but that's also Closing Time is not here. It's very strange. Instead, they have Anthem and The Future, which are great, but from that record, I would have chosen 2 different ones. So it has images and lyrics on both records. Anyway, a pretty cool collection. Someone on Discogs, I believe, left a comment as to why they used the live version of Hallelujah as opposed to the studio version. I think the answer is quite clear. For me, the production on that album wasn't very good. The whole album, various positions, I think the production is a bit lacking. But also, he changed the lyrics to Hallelujah pretty much immediately. If you listen to that studio version, the lyrics he changed right away when he started performing it. And so he's never really performed those early lyrics since some time in his career. So I think the estate wanted to use the lyrics he preferred. So they chose a live version. Anyway, I'm a Leonard Cohen completist. One day I am going to do a video on Leonard Cohen, but it may have to be in more than one part because there's a lot to go through. And the last thing I picked up, because I always pick them up if I see them and I don't have them, is a 12-inch single from Kraftwerk. This is Tour de France 2003 for the centenary of the Tour de France 1903 to 2003. And this has 3 versions of Tour de France. There's a CD that has 4 versions. There's the long distance version, version 1, and version 3. And my conclusion is that the original is far better. This is really techno. I mean, it really is. I mean, if you listen to it, you're like, this is a techno thing. It's kind of cool to have, and I have listened to it, but I have the 12-inch single for the original Tour de France release, plus, of course, the record, the full album, but this doesn't really stand up to the original as far as I'm concerned, but it's kind of interesting to have. And I've always liked the artwork on this release. So I'm slowly going through the pile of new releases. There's some that I've missed, and I'll probably get back to them at some time. But once again, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.